Our second author is Jessica Guerrieri. Jessica Guerrieri, though originally from the Bay Area, is now a Davis resident. She was born into a family of English majors. She got her degree in English at the University of California, Davis. We will be presenting a selection from her debut book, Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. It won the prestigious Maurice Prize for Fiction from her alma mater and mine, UC Davis. Reading this story will be Atim Udoffia. Atim Udoffia will read from The Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. Atim is an actor, director, working in theater and film and video in the Sacramento and Bay Area. Some of her favorite stage roles include Emily in Emily la Marquise de Châtelet, Defends Her Life Tonight, Lady Macbeth at the Sacramento Theater Company, Nina in The Royale from the Aurora Theater Company, and Jory in Disgraced at Capitol Stage. Her film credits include the feature films No Address, Fairyland, and Where Sleeping Dogs Lie. At Big Idea Theater, Udoffia has directed Othello, Nap Time, and Charlie and Neil, for which she received the Best Director Award. Udoffia earned a BA in Human Biology from Stanford University before pursuing acting training in London and Los Angeles. She is pleased to return to Stories on Stage Davis and to share Jessica Guerrieri's work with the Davis community. But first, let's welcome up the author of Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Guerrieri. Jessica?
Thank you so much. I'm going to put this up here because I'm nice and tall. First, I want to say thank you to Jerry. She actually reached out to me before my book actually became a book, when it was still out in the, submission land, and I had won the Maurice Prize for Fiction. And that was one of the things that kicked it off and got me a 2-book deal with HarperCollins. So thank you, Jerry, for reaching out to me in the beginning. I wanted to say that I'm standing up here today with 12 years of continued sobriety. And thank you. And when I was in active addiction, I was terrified of being seen. I thought if people really looked at me, they would find the cracks, the shame, all the ways that I wasn't enough. Writing this book was part of the way through that fear. It let me put these truths somewhere outside of myself and transform them into a story. The scene you will watch tonight opens with Leah trying to hold it all together, her kids nearby, her mother-in-law stepping in to help. But instead of feeling supported, she feels threatened. Her own sense of inadequacy as a mother is so loud that she cannot receive the help she desperately needs. That tension between trying to do it all while secretly falling apart is at the heart of the story, and it mirrors so much of what I had to face in my own life. But the real villain in the book isn't Leah, or the mother-in-law, or even motherhood itself. It's active addiction, the way it holds you hostage inside your own story, and how it makes every relationship, every moment feel like a battle. I'm grateful to say that I have 12 years of continued sobriety, and while Leah's journey is fictional, it carries the same thread of hope that's been central in my own life and my own story, that recovery is possible, and that our stories don't have to end in silence or shame. And tonight, instead of hiding, I feel nothing but gratitude for the chance to have my words lifted off the page, for this incredible performer bringing the characters to life, and for all the ways my story will be experienced and seen. My second novel, Both Can Be True, will be out in May of next year, and I hope to be back here if you'll have me. In the meantime, you can stop by the Avid Reader and pick up my story. I have a few copies, but I would love for you to support the Avid Reader, as they were the ones that hosted my book launch. And I hope you do pick up a copy of my story, Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. Thank you.
Dottie pokes at my lids, dragging them down until there's a familiar blackness. I know her by the scent of her palms. Reed, can you please grab your sister? When I yell, my words itch. I'm certain he's somewhere nearby. As he appears in the doorway, he forms into the stamped copy of his dad, long and lanky limbs, handsome in a way that's both endearing and troublesome. Come on, little Dot, let's go watch Bluey, he says. A twinge of irritation, thank you, is present only in the stiff flick of his wrist as he motions for her. Dottie nods, satisfied by his request. Her arms shoot up, demanding Reed carry her out. Thanks, bud, I owe you. I stretch, which instantly churns the contents of my stomach. I run my open palm over my face. There's a noticeable heaviness, as if my decisions are begging to protrude through each wrinkle etched on my forehead. Making my way toward the sound of the shower running, I recall fragments from last night in my mother-in-law's kitchen. I was probably a tad too much myself for Christine's liking. The blanket of booze always lowers my ability to buy into the O'Connor family BS. But my willingness to engage in yet another Sunday dinner should count for something. I open the shower door, stopping to observe what years of surfing have done for my husband's body, wrapping my arms around his lower abdomen and interlacing my fingers. I place my lips on the corner of his neck. Lucas tilts his head into mine, but then leaves the shower. When he turns back, I ensure he can read my confusion over his abrupt exit. I need sex to wash away the evening sins and begin the day clean, for Lucas's sake, but also in case it happens again tonight. He takes the bait. I want you back here like this, exactly like this tonight. Now he's grinning like he's age 26, the age he was when we first met, when there was nothing but lust between us. Please. It comes out as an exhalation of relief. I pivot and allow the water to pelt down my back. He disappears inside our walk-in closet just as I think I hear my son, Reed, call up to me. The time I'm allotted to act in one role is finite. Wife, then mother, without any guaranteed leftover scraps for myself. The need to be everything to everyone is relentless. When I arrive downstairs, Dottie is covered in peanut butter, with Reed eating cereal beside her. There's a phantom life that runs parallel to the one I'm currently living, like a shadow. That version of me is childless and therefore untethered to the O'Connor family. I think of her when I'm clipping my 2-year-old's toenails and the little half moons splinter off in different directions, and I find myself scouring the floor so I'm not stepping on discarded pieces of my youngest daughter's body when I'm barefoot at 3 o'clock in the morning and need to pee. I'm confident my shadow self has already circled the globe, only to have landed someplace tropical, like Costa Rica, beholden to simply the movement of the sea. Sometimes I wave, but she's surfing and cannot wave back. Look what I found to bring Grandma for our shelves. My daughter Joni's face lights up like a Christmas tree. She's my oldest, the first grandchild. A unicorn of a being, always golden from the time spent on the beach. She appears more ethereal than human. Joni's very existence has made my presence tolerable to my mother-in-law, Christine, as if Lucas and I made Joni just for her. I glance back and take note of an almost completely purple hermit crab shell resting in the palm of her hand. Shelves? I ask her. It rings a bell, but I almost always mentally check out whenever Christine is involved. You know, we collect shells, but like perfect ones. For the display cases she has upstairs, she lets me arrange them by category or however I want. I can picture it now, Christine biting the inside of her cheeks as she reluctantly doles out home decor privileges. Wow, Lovey, that's a high honor, I say, removing a strand of hair that is caught in the corner of my mouth. We are driving to one of the last remaining beaches that hasn't been overrun by tourists. It's a little ways walk from the road, and we have to park in a neighborhood where doing so is frowned upon for anyone else who is not a resident of Half Moon Bay. I brought along my painting supplies, though I doubt I'll be able to focus with Dottie at age 2, still heavily in the eating sand phase. I told Grandma to meet us here. We're on a mission to find a whole sand dollar. Oh, you did? Great, I say, as sincerely as I can muster. Would be nice if Christine could keep the kids occupied while I work. Christine is already parked, standing next to her driver's side door with her beach gear in hand. I remain in the car with Reed, my 8-year-old, and Dottie, waiting to channel all the willpower I'll need for the next several hours. I watch as Christine and Joni embrace. Christine removes one of her signature scarves from around her neck and drapes it around Joni. Their movements are effortlessly in sync, which has baffled me from the beginning, a dance they started the day Joni was born. When I arrived home from the hospital a few days after her birth, Lucas insisted we were ready for visitors. Feeling the need to busy myself, I staged a scene only Christine would manage to believe exists inside the realm of motherhood, with soft music playing and the low morning light peeking through the dusty rose-colored curtains. I held a swaddled Joni while sitting in the rocking chair that had once belonged to Christine. She had someone deliver it to us with a note attached that read, "Being a mother is the greatest blessing of my life. I hope you feel the same." Even her kind gestures have hidden agendas. I rocked, awaiting the sounds of feet on the stairs, and pondered how I was meant to share this tiny being with a family that resisted my every movement. "If I had a camera, I'd take your picture," Christine had said as she stood in the doorway. On the dry sand, I set up my easel, slightly removed from our mountain of beach stuff, while still placing myself within earshot of the kids. Christine and Joni have already ventured down to the water to look for shells. Only 2 have made the cut and are worthy of the home display. Reed has Dottie near the surf, and they are playing chase with the waves. "My mother and I used to explore the tide pools after school along this same beach," said Christine. "We collect everything from shells to hermit crabs. Then we'd put them in vases of sea glass and use them as centerpieces at the cove. Anything special or worthy enough would go inside the trinket boxes in our home. The same boxes I have now," Christine says to Joni, her eyes fixating on the waves. Then, drawing her focus back to her granddaughter, she adds, "Well, the circle doesn't have to be a sphere," as she runs her fingers along the edge of the sand dollar, "but there can't be any cracks." She holds it to her ear, shakes it gently. Bonus points for teeth. The hole in the back is its mouth. She pauses. Sand dollars were always her favorite. Christine doesn't often talk about her mother unless she's sharing about the family restaurant they owned and operated for 2 generations, the Cove. "What's your favorite sea creature, Grandma?" Joni asks. "I've always liked the starfish. As a kid, I loved how it could be both hard and soft depending on whether it was in or out of the water. But these days, I appreciate it for the extra arms. It would have come in handy raising your uncles. If I were to paint Christine, I'd be limited to muted pastels." Christine goes to work laying out the picnic she brought for the kids, while Joni takes extreme care carving out seats for her and her grandmother within the sand. She uses the excess to create a solid backing, especially for Christine's chair, and then finally covers them completely with towels. She has positioned them side by side so she and Christine can align themselves like two little old ladies at a beauty parlor. Their placement reminds me of the time Amy and I snuck away for pedicures on the day she lost her first pregnancy. There is something poignant about my sister-in-law's unshakable grit and being chosen as the object of her unwavering attention. Though, with her baby arriving so soon, I know I'll need to learn how to share her. The sea is flat today. The waves break at the shore, and so far, Reed and Dottie have only been caught up around Dottie's mid-thigh. Fixing my gaze on the water plays tricks on my eyes. Each dark point that crests upward deceives me into thinking something is splashing mysteriously just at the surface, only to sink back down and pop up closer to shore. I watch one spot in particular for over a minute, convinced I see a silky brown head, only for it to disappear and never breach through the surface again. Wanting to include myself in their world, I call over to Joni, "Look, there's a seal." I point to where it was, but there are no landmarks to direct her sight. Joni lifts her head briefly, but lazily rests it on Christine's shoulder, content not to indulge in what I am offering. Joni begins biting her nails. "How did you know you liked Grandpa?" she asks in a voice that's so sweet and soft I almost don't recognize it. Christine reaches over and pulls the hand away from her mouth, chuckling a little. "Some days, I'm not entirely sure I like Grandpa." Joni lets out a laugh, and I almost do too. Christine's sense of humor is usually limited to when she indulges herself with a single glass of wine on Sundays. Grandpa was friends with my best friend's boyfriend. We met for a setup. That's when friends want to introduce you both to see if there's a spark. Her response doesn't answer the question, so I'm genuinely curious to see how Joni will accept it. Joni looks thoughtfully puzzled. Her eyes change shape as her lips form into a thin, crooked pout that moves her nose ever so slightly to the left. It's an expression that is woven into her identity. She's been making it since birth. She puts a grape in her mouth and starts to chew it slowly. "What do you mean, spark?" Joni asks. Christine has scratched the surface of something. When you like someone, you can just feel it inside. It makes you feel warm and happy. Joni is nodding like she understands, though at age 10, I'm not sure she does. Christine lowers her voice a little. "Do you feel that way about someone?" Joni snuggles closer to Christine, placing her head back on her shoulder. I notice her whisper something directly into her grandma's ear. While my interest was initially piqued, in their secrets they have drawn the blinds down around them. Christine pulls Joni directly onto her lap as if she were a baby. Joni's forelimbs cross every which way, and they are a tangled mess of sand and giggles. On that morning of Christine's first visit, when we brought Joni home, I reluctantly managed to relinquish my baby into her arms, even though it felt like the very act would tear the seams we'd spent the last 9 months carefully sewing together. The hum of Christine's adoration was palpable. For a moment, the three of us were all touching at once. With Christine's unabashed tenderness, I sensed a pull, not a break, and something passed through us that told me exactly what I needed to know. Joni was her grandchild. No matter what I had done in my past, secrets I would need to keep, this baby belonged in this family, even if I would always feel like an outsider. I pretend to be extremely interested in my work, detailing the slickness of the seal's head that would be a focal point of the piece, which I've made too large and entirely too obvious. The bitterness of the pill I swallow as an O'Connor is that for all of Christine's many flaws, Her grown sons have chosen to live only minutes from her and my father-in-law, George. By choosing this version instead of my childless shadow self, I have to bear witness to moments like my daughter whispering away her most precious secrets. I wonder how much strain our scene can sustain. Thanks for being here for the kids today so I could focus on my work. I say genuinely grateful for Christine's help at the beach. You know I love that child. Christine smiles, looking at Joni in the passenger seat as if she's remembering it all over again. Her favoritism has never been subtle. Do you want to follow us home to see Lucas? I'm asking, but my tone reflects no inflection to suggest I want her to do that. I need to get back to George. If I'm not there to feed him, he forgets to eat. She looks up as if searching for something on top of my minivan, but then she shakes her head. I'll be off. Hey, what did Joni whisper to you? You know what, never mind. I can feel my face redden a little, so I turn, anxious to drive away. But as I step back, she's stepping forward, intrusively entering my personal space. These things reveal themselves in their own way, in their own time, she says, as if I should feel lucky to be gaining another nugget of wisdom from the great High Mother herself. Thanks for the advice, but raising daughters is nothing like raising sons. Yes, well, it's Christine's turn to flush. Good, I think, though my victory feels tainted somehow. Thank you.